Hello, everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. Today, we break down revenue operations architecture, database re engagement frameworks, and the AI assisted sales workflows required to maximize B2B revenue velocity. In 2026, protecting a growing enterprise, regional service provider, or B2B startup from bloated ad spend, messy customer databases, and stagnant sales cycles requires moving past basic contact lists to deploy clean data processes, precise attribution modeling, and automated pipeline acceleration. Joining us today is Julio Viskovich, Chief Marketing Officer at Set to Close. Julio is a globally recognized digital marketing executive, business professor, and author of Sell Marketing. Honored as a Forbes Top 30 social selling influencer, he made his mark scaling modern selling systems for Hootsuite and driving digital transformation for Fortune 500 giants like Microsoft. A former professor at UBC and SFU, he now guides Set to Close as a HubSpot Elite Solutions partner and certified B Corporation, helping over 550 B2B clients unlock millions in hidden database revenue. So, before further ado, let's welcome this very special guest. Julio, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's appreciative on my side. And you know what? Thank you for a wonderful introduction.
Of course, it's very well deserved. Now, Julio, an astonishingly, expensive mistake across the small business ecosystem is treating a CRM as a glorified digital address book, right? Completely missing out on how structuring your sales processes turns passive database records into predictable revenue. Let's start by understanding from you, how do teams misuse CRMs, and how can revenue operations turn them into predictable revenue engines?
Yeah, good question, because I think so many people are hitting this roadblock, right? Is most people see a CRM as a digital filing cabinet, not really a sales system or a selling system. And that's the problem, right? It's not just a place where people go and log activity or keep your managers happy by just logging whatever they need to do.
Correct.
It's really about being proactive about using that data in there and making sure that you have the right data to use. So first things first, it's about not putting garbage in your system, and a lot of people do that. And that's because of lack of processes, right? Deals have no closing dates, stages don't have any criteria on what would move someone into it or out of it. And whenever this occurs, you don't have the data you need to do any accurate forecasting. The trust within your CRM is lost, and any of your sales reps start investing even less time into it. And that's a death spiral. So I think getting that shored up and making sure that there's value in it is the first step into making it solid. And what makes it predictable is being able to have that good data in there and ultimately be able to action on it. We have created something called the revenue skyscraper. And what that means is, in order to make your CRM a revenue component and effective at driving revenue, you start from the ground up. You work on the ground. Do you have the right, soil, topsoil? What does it look like before you even lay a foundation of pavement or cement down, right? So foundations first. That's clean data. Then attribution can come after that. When you can trust your data in the system, then all of a sudden you can measure it. You can figure out what is working, what isn't. And then we can talk about layering AI on top of that. And it's sort of a roadmap to success and making sure that you approach things in the right way that leads to predictability within your revenue system and within your CRM.
Wow, very well articulated. I think this perspective completely shifts how we view customer relationship management, right? Because, as you said, establishing clean data standards and clear attribution models, it ensures that every marketing dollar directly feeds a measurable sales pipeline, right? Amazing. Let's now look closely at database recovery strategies and break down how dormant accounts can, yield millions without new ad spend. So go ahead, Julio, and educate our listeners about how can small business owners audit their CRM to recover lost revenue from dormant accounts. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's important to note right off the bat that most people's revenue that they wish to secure over the coming year or month or quarter is actually sitting in your system already. It's not something you have to go out and find. You don't have to turn on an acquisition engine and go hunt new customers. The data and the revenue is usually sitting in your system.
Mhm.
So what I highly recommend is you start closest to the money, not the coldest, right, to the money. So what I mean by that is look at your system now. In your pipeline today, is there or are there deals that are sitting in a particular stage that have not moved? So I just give you a really quick example. So I did an audit on a CRM about 3 months ago. And what I found was there was 47 open deals that were sitting in the sent for signature stage. So they're sending out a contract, not getting a signature back, just
Yeah.
sitting there. Now, they considered these to be essentially lost, but they weren't. They were stalled, right? And this is because there was something preventing the buyer from executing on that last mile, right? So, with this audit, we figured out that with this stage, they needed a little help getting to the signature. So, what we did is we put together a one pager and essentially a welcome guide that allowed folks to know what is working with us going to look like and what are the next steps involved. And by using this one pager as a re-engagement strategy, we ended up moving 3 deals across the finish line within a week, which was awesome. So that's one thing. And beyond what's in your pipeline today, right? Look at the last 24 months of your CRM system, right? What happened? Who stopped buying and who engaged and went quiet, right? So things I would consider here are like, what were the deals that were closed lost? Why did they not close?
Mhm.
These folks had exhibited serious intent to buy from you, but didn't do so. There must be a reason.
Mhm.
So look and find those folks in the last 24 months, right? And then segment them. Segment them into lists such as, folks that didn't buy for a particular reason or what products or services were they interested in. And when you have them organized and segmented in those specific groups, now develop messaging that you can send out to them, whether it's a phone call, an email, a LinkedIn message, whatever that might be, that's designed to give them a reason to want to re-engage with you. And I think that's probably the biggest reason. Don't go at them with a sales pitch either. Go at them with a reason why they should re-engage. A new capability, a new product, a new pricing model, something relevant that didn't exist the last time you spoke with them. And I think that's a really good start into unlocking hidden revenue in your CRM.
Again, very well explained, Julio, because you know uh, all the operational effort and resources are going to get that deal closed, right? But when that is not happening towards the last minute or last second, the entire efforts, fall apart. So the work that you are doing in this space is incredibly important, and I think this is the go-to solution for all the businesses out there. So kudos to everything that you're doing, and so much more power to you. Now, this conversation is incomplete without the mention of artificial intelligence, right? So let's transition directly into emerging technologies and evaluate how AI is reshaping B2B buying behavior. So, Julio, from your extensive experience, which practical AI strategies should small businesses adopt to stay visible and convert their B2B leads into actual revenue?
Yeah, good question. Like there's really two questions there, right? Like first, visibility in this new
Yes.
world of, AEO or, answer engine optimization, some people call it. And also, how do we layer on AI in our existing workflows, right? So let's start with the first one. So buyers have stopped using Google, right? I mean, it's not the same as it was 5 years ago. SEO is still relevant, but it's not the primary mode in which buyers are seeking for information anymore. They're going to your chat GPTs, they're going to your Claudes, your perplexities, and they're asking questions. They're asking very poignant questions such as who is the best company that does X in my area? Or, what things should I consider when buying from somebody in X industry, right? So knowing this and understanding this, it's critical to craft content and start putting content together that is AEO optimized or generative search engine optimized, right? That's the key. So it's about understanding the questions that buyers are asking and writing content that answers those questions. Example, you can use sites like Quora. You could even use AI and say, what are the top 10 questions currently right now? Or Google Trends. These are all tools that you can ask a question or see what people are asking and at what volume, right? So I love to use those types of sites to say, what are people asking around this? And then I get a list of questions and that formulates my content strategy. So focusing on answering questions instead of promoting your product or promoting, marketing messaging on your blogs and your content is going to go a long way. Second is AI is not replacing humans yet. It's not there yet. Don't think it's going to do everything for you. However, that said, it can do about 80 or 90% of everything that you want to do, right? So if you're reaching out to folks, someone might run a cold email campaign and let's say blast the same message out to 500 people. Well, now utilize ChatGPT or an AI to go out and do highly personalized, very poignant research on your buyers and send it out to 50 instead of 500 and be very accurate with it, be hyper personalized and really hit the nail on the head with your content and your messaging and your copy. And if you can do that, you can really reduce spend that you may have to do, right? And reduce the workload. And I think this is a huge opportunity for people is use AI right. Don't think it's replacing marketing. Don't think it's going to do everything, but utilize its strengths to help you personalize and build a more intimate relationship with your customers.
Thank you so much for that answer. I think those practical AI strategies that you shared, they give these modern sales teams a massive competitive edge. And building on what you've said, Julio, I'd now like to give a special message to all of our listeners, specifically to all the B2B founders, regional service directors, and growth stage executives who are listening and watching. Allowing messy customer databases, untracked marketing spend, or slow sales cycle to stall your revenue growth, I think it's an unavoidable mistake in 2026. Directed by veteran marketing strategist Julio Viskovich, set to close delivers HubSpot elite implementations, sales process design, and the revenue skyscraper framework that he just mentioned to accelerate your sales velocity. De-risk your pipeline and unlock your database potential by visiting settoclose.io to request your revenue operations evaluation today. We'll mention all the links down in the description below. Now, coming back to you, Julio, let's shift our focus now to scaling sales capacity and examining how to increase the output with what we have already. So, for all the owners, how can they identify hidden sales capacity gaps and what can they do to empower their existing team to sell a little more effectively?
I think it really starts with understanding where your sales reps' time's going, right? That's the key, right? So a quick audit on that. So if you want your reps to be more efficient, you have to know first of all where are they being inefficient, right? It's interesting when I've done assessments on sales teams. Most sales teams are spending only 30% of their time, and in some cases, much less, on actual selling and revenue generating activities. The rest seems to disappear into data entry, proposal building, CRM updates, or internal meetings, right? When you look at this scenario, and if this sounds familiar for anybody out there, you don't have a headcount problem. You have a capacity leak, right? So before hiring a new rep, reclaim the equivalent time that you could actually bring back to the current reps that you have instead of hiring a new one, right? So sit down and run the math, right? Run it out, right? What does it look like? Selling hours per rep times the number of reps that you have, right, against quota carrying activities needed, right? Find out the gap, right? And that's going to be expressed in headcount and dollars. And usually you'll notice that if you can actually just increase the efficiency of your reps, you're not going to have to do that second or third hire in the year. You're going to be able to get to your goal without actually doubling or even adding to your headcount at all. So, and just a last note on that is like enable your reps, right? This is the force multiplier. A lot of you out there might have been founders or are founders, and you might have been the lead salesperson out there, right? We need to figure out how to download what's in your head and get it in front of the reps, right? So anything that you've done in the past, like handling objections the right way, proof points that you've built over time as you're, scaling your business. Build this into playbooks so that you can empower your reps with the same knowledge that you as the founder had or you as a business leader had and make this the baseline for anybody joining your organization. I think that's a great start.
Wow, that's $1 million advice right there. Julio, you're so passionate about what you do. How did you end up in this space? Is this something that you were always interested in, even as a kid growing up, finding solutions to problems? Or is this something that, you naturally tumbled upon in your career? So what's your story there?
Yeah, I think problem solving's always been something I've been interested in, and generating revenue is an age-old problem for every business out there. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be a puzzle, right? It's actually something that can be predictable. And when you can kind of see the predictability and these areas that can help anybody, right? Because it's a model that can be applied to any business, you
Yeah,
start to say, well, hey, I can really help people with this. And there's so many great people out there that are doing amazing things, have awesome ideas, right? Usually the person who has a wonderful idea might
yeah,
not be the same person that is able to scale a business, right?
right.
So I wanted to help bridge that gap. And being in education and also in the entrepreneurial space, I just saw a great opportunity and fit for myself to sort of live here, help people bring their ideas to market. Those who brought their ideas to market, help them fine tune it and get their business operating efficiently. And for me personally, that's something that really drives me and adds value to my life.
Beautiful. No, the work that you're doing throughout your career that you've done, I think it's incredibly important. Thank you so much for this. And, kudos to everything that you've achieved so far. I'm loving this conversation, Julio, and definitely we'd love for you to be back, hopefully, for an in person episode that we do the next with you again. But for now, today, before we let you go, if there's one final piece of advice that you have for our listeners today, something that you'd want them to remember long after they've, stopped listening to this episode, what is that one thing and why?
Mm, Wonderful question. I would say build systems, not heroes.
Hmm.
Heroic actions by you as the founder, by your sales reps, those are not scalable. I mean, it might feel good on day one to be a rainmaker and, turn a bunch of money over and drive some revenue and it feels good. But at the end of the day, it's the documented processes and systems that are going to allow you to take that win and exponentially grow it, right? And actually make it scalable, which every business needs. Everything needs to be repeatable, everything needs to be scalable. And when you factor that into everything that you do within your business, then you're going to be successful. So that's the one thing I'll leave our listeners with.
Wow, that is a spectacular reminder that true business resilience relies on mastering the data you already own, right? Aligning your sales and marketing workflows and focusing on sustainable revenue velocity over, superficial growth metrics out there. So, Julio, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your mastery with us all.
My pleasure. Hope to be back again soon.
Of course. All right, that was Julio Viskovich from Set to Close, showing us how to collapse the challenges of unoptimized CRMs, leverage AI tools to capture buyer intent, and deploy revenue operations frameworks to secure small business growth in 2026. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more such resources. To learn more about how we are supporting the ecosystem beyond the platform, please visit the Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. And lastly, a very special thank you to our partners, UPS, our shipping partner, and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering SMBs across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.